All right, so we're going to talk about our power play setup, primarily when we get into overload. So this is very similar to our forecheck, just some slight differences. So just as a recap, we have our strong side of the ice, which is always the side with the puck, and then we have our weak side of the ice. So if we drew a line across the center of the ice or down the middle, we would have our weak side on the side without the puck and the strong side with the puck. So if we recall, I'm going to play this video. If we recall, when we set up our attack, say the other team is heading into the zone to collect the puck, we want to have, of course, our two forecheckers, so our F1 attacking, trying to play the body, separate the player from the puck, and then our F2 is going to be in for support. So they're there to kind of attack and get that puck and dig it out. And then, of course, if you recall, we had our F3, which was usually kind of like hovering around the middle of the ice. They could be in the high slot, and they're really just reading the play, anticipating. They're there for support, and once we get the puck, they kind of engage. And then we have our D1 and our D2. Now, it is really important that both our D1 and our D2 are on the strong side of the ice. So we want to make sure our defense 2 is in the middle of the ice. And the reason why we want to have that person there is because if the puck does come across or bounce out, they're still on the strong side of the ice for a shot. All right, so once we kind of get control of that puck, so say there's a battle in the corner, F2 ends up with the puck. What we want to do for an overload setup is we actually want to have our F2 to be on the flank. So we're going to put them on the wall. So they kind of, F1 gets the puck. In this instance, it's now F2, but it switches to F1 because they have the puck. And then F2 is the second closest person to the puck. F3 still the F3, but on an overload situation, we want our F3 to actually go to the front of the net. So as you see here, we now have two players and only one of their players. Right, so our F3 is in front of the net, and they'll always draw a defender over, and then the other team has their other two players, so they only have 4 on the ice because we're on a power play. So if we pause here and we notice there's kind of two things that happen just as a review. One, we always get 2 on the puck, and we're trying to force it and get control. Once we get control, we want to have a player on the wall. So we want that F2 in the wall. And once we get control, we want that F3 to make sure that they're in front of the net. So similar to our standard forecheck where the F3 is kind of hovering, in this instance, we want them to go to the net. And what we're trying to do is create a 2-on-1 down low. So right here, we kind of have 2 players on the puck. And our objective really here is to get the puck from F1 to F2. We want the puck to be in this spot right here. Next is when we actually want to set up a power play when we have a controlled entry. So the last slide was kind of more talking about when the other team has the puck and we're going to aggressively attack. We're going to have 2 forwards on the puck. We're going to get control of the puck through our forecheck. This is more of a controlled entry approach. So when we actually carry the puck in over the zone, so we enter the zone with our zone entry. So we're going to play the video and kind of go through some of the different scenarios with a controlled power play entry. So our F1 would be, say, skating down the ice in this situation with the puck, and there's 2 defensemen on the other team playing defense, and they're going to skate hard wide, and then they're going to stop up and make, say, a Gretzky stop and try to pull that defenseman off the puck. So obviously the challenge with these plays is that you don't necessarily need to do this every time. This is just an option to get control of the puck. If those defensemen are backing up and giving you space to shoot, you can take the shot. Or if they're too aggressive and you feel like you can power around them, you still want to do that and drive the puck to the net. If you have space, you take it. And also, you got to look for your teammates, right? If your teammates are open or if you have a 2-on-1, you still want to do that. Even though we're on a power play and we're doing a controlled entry, you got to look at your options, all right? So in this instance, the F1 is going to drive wide. They're going to stop up and do the Gretzky stop. As soon as they do that, what we want to do is also time our F2 and F3. So in this scenario, we're going to send in our F2 this time is going to be down low, so they're going to become that low option. So if you noticed in the last video, we had 2 on the puck. We'll have 1 on the wall, so our F1 will be on the wall. And then, of course, our F3 is going to drive the net this time. So if you look at this for a second, we have our F1 now with the puck on the wall. We have our F2 down low for support, so we're creating that 2-on-1, and we have that F3 in front of the net. And then our D1 and D2 push up fast, so they join that play. And then, of course, if you look at the other team's setup, they're going to now get into their box. And again, what we want to make sure we're doing is we're creating 2-on-1. So even in a controlled entry, we can do the Gretzky stop, curl around, take our time, and then look for our options. But it's really important that you guys move around and get open. It's not always going to be as simple as this, right? That these defensemen are going to be moving around. They're going to be getting their sticks in lanes. We got to get open and be support players. I'm just going through what kind of the defense's role is in the power play. It's really important for specifically the D1 to be on the wall. So obviously they're reading the defenders and paying attention, but they want to make sure they're in an open lane. And we want to also make sure that that D2 is in the middle of the ice and not way over on the weak side. So the reason we want them in the middle of the ice is they have a good shooting lane there. So if the puck does come back to them in a D-to-D pass, they're available for that. They also need to be watching and looking. So as kind of the plays unfolding, if the other team's wingers get in low, like they get very low down, our D need to move up a bit, right? And they're communicating. They're also looking to make sure if their D partner is open, they're checking, they're scanning the ice, they're seeing who's open, they're seeing their options before they even get the puck. So when the puck does come up to them, they're ready and set to either make a pass or shoot it on net. Okay, so one other thing we want to make sure we're doing is trying to get the puck from low to high, especially when the other team's collapsing down low. So in this example, you can see that the 4 opposing team members are very low, so they're almost down to the dots, and they're protecting the house, and most teams we play against will probably do this defensively. So what we want to do is we want to try to get the puck up the wall to our F2. So if we watch this, the puck comes up to the wall to our F2. And then from here, our F2 has some different options, right? They can pass it back to the F3. They can go back with the give and go to the F1. Or they can also take the puck to the net, right? They can drive that hole. So if there isn't a defenseman or an opposing team member playing low there, that's a good opportunity for them to drive it to the net, right? Another option for that F2 is to go up high to the defense. So what we want to do again is push the puck up high. That D's on the wall, and then across to D2, and then for a shot on net. So in this scenario, of course, that F3 will be creating that screen, and as soon as that shot happens, again, we want to keep constant movement. That F1 can drive the net for that rebound, and we want to make sure we're taking advantage of those teams that are really collapsing down low. Okay, it's also important when the puck comes from low to high and the puck's up with the defense that we also support our D. So we need our our forwards to also support the D. So in this situation, we'll watch the defense. They'll walk across the line. So they're kind of walking the line, trying to get to the middle of the ice. An awesome play, bringing the puck with them. The D2 is going to pivot over a bit to the weak side of the ice to be an option. And then the F2's got to kind of come up the wall. So again, they're creating support. They're creating options. They're allowing that D to have control of that puck. So now that D1 has a couple different options. One, they can obviously shoot on net. They can pass it to that F2. Or they can pass across to their D2. So again, they kind of have 3 options. They can shoot on net. They can pass it across the D or use that F2. At the same time, no matter what, the F2 and F1 need to also start to pay attention and create options for tips and shots. So if it does go up to that D1, it's a shot. If it goes back to the F2, the F1's got to swing back down. So again, constantly moving, creating options for our teammates. Another option on this too is if the puck starts on the F2 on the wall and they pass it up to the D1 and the D1 walks across the line, because most teams, their forwards will bounce out to try to prevent that shot from going through. That player will bounce out into the middle lane. It gives our F2 an option too, right? So our D1 now could technically go back to that F2 that just came up the wall. And then that F2 can either drive the net for a shot or make another pass. All right, so another option for our F1, if they don't want to go up the wall, is they can actually swing across to the weak side. So there's lots of open ice over here. If they have good control of that puck, they can actually swing over. And this usually creates a lot of chaos with the defense, because you'll get one defense following, the other defense doesn't know if they need to switch off. But if that does happen, we got to get our D over as well. So our D2 actually becomes the D1, our D1 switches. And then, of course, we want to also get our F3 now, who's going to go down low for support. And then that F2's got to swing in front. So similar to our forecheck, where we kind of rotate from side to side, it's kind of the same idea. But it's really important that everyone is thinking that they're a support player, right? So now that they're on the strong side of the ice, all 5 players are on the strong side. We got to make sure that there always is a support person. So we're trying to create 2-on-1s. Always, always, always. Trying to get to those positions fast. And we're always making sure that someone's in front of the net. So that F3 is always going to be in front of that net every single time. All right. It's also really important for us to be constantly in motion. So what I mean by that is while the F3 may be in line in front of the net, they're also looking to create options, right? So say the puck does go down low to F2, because we're creating a 2-on-1, we want to be moving and creating lanes. So if we're constantly attacking that net, constantly in motion, constantly moving around, it allows us to kind of create more chances for our teammates. So we pass the puck down low, we have multiple options, right? We can get open, we can go into the slot, the F3 can kind of bank out for a pass. We're constantly trying to create more chances and more lanes to get open. Just like we would play like a small area game or do something where we're moving the puck around a lot, we got to get open, open, open. We're also going to attack the net once a shot does happen. So once that puck does start going to the net, so say we're moving the puck around in the power play, we get the puck up top to our defense and they get it across, and then a shot comes on net. After that shot is taken, we got to make sure everyone is attacking that net and looking for loose pucks, because what happens a lot is the shot may be made from the point, but it might hit a defenseman in front, or it might hit our own player in front, and it'll just drop right down on the ice. We got to attack, and everyone's got to move in. Even the D, when this happens, can move in a little bit. So we got to make sure that we're attacking that net, and we're getting to the net for rebounds, and we're looking for those loose pucks. All right, so next most important thing with every power play is our ability to retrieve the puck or get the puck back. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier in this video. Puck is gold, right? So we want to have it, we want to keep it. And that means we always have to have 2 players chasing that puck down. So no matter where it is, we got to have a player getting that puck if it's loose, or the other team has it. We have to get that player in there quickly, pin that player, make some contact on the body, and then the second player goes in and digs that puck out. We can't have any passengers. What that means is if there's only one player chasing down loose pucks or attacking the other team and another player is just watching, it's not going to work, right? Everyone's got to be committed to always having 2 on the puck, 2 on the puck. It's the most important thing. Okay, once we get the puck, we don't need 2 there. We can spread out. We get open for a pass and so on. The third most important thing is our defense need to pinch hard and be part of that puck retrieval process. Okay, so if that puck's coming up the boards, whether it's the strong side or weak side of the ice, you got to make sure you're there quick. You're keeping control of that puck. You're getting it, and you're either making a play, carrying it in, or you're making a pass, or you're shooting it back into the corner to your teammate. Whatever you're doing, you're making sure that we're keeping control of that puck, okay? So we'll go through a couple scenarios here. First one being puck retrieval on a shot from the point. So say we're on the power play, puck goes to the net, ends up in the far corner. At this point, that's a loose puck, right? Puck retrieval. We got to be there fast. 2 on the puck. F3 is going to dive down, attack that puck. That D is probably going to chase them down. F2 is going to, again, help. And everyone's going to quickly get over to that strong side of the ice, right? The F1 now on the far boards is going to come across and become that F3 in front of the net. So we always want 2 on the puck. If we don't have 2 on the puck, the other player is going to be down low. In this scenario, same thing. Other team gets the puck in the corner. First F1 in is going to attack, pin. F2 is going to support. Puck comes to the other side. Again, just like our forecheck, F3 dives down, F2 follows and chases, F1 swings across the front of the net. So we're always going to have 2 on the puck. Puck comes back up the wall. Again, the D's going to pinch hard, keep that puck in. And again, we're going to have 2 players aggressively attacking. So F2 is going to follow, chase, try to help out, get that puck out, and then F3 is going to be there for support as well. So every single player on the ice has a job on the power play, just like on the forecheck, right? They're always engaged, paying attention, and attacking. Review a PWHL power play, Team Montreal versus Team Boston. So Montreal right now is the team in red, and the puck is actually over against the wall here. So the puck's actually right there. So we're going to watch this clip, and then we'll go back and review it. And again, I want you to kind of focus on what we've been working on with the overload, and then we'll go back and kind of talk about the situation in game here. All right, so let's go back and just watch from the very beginning. So if you notice, as soon as the players enter the zone, so across that blue line, the F1 who has the puck is actually taking the puck wide. So that's this player here. She's taking the puck wide. She has control of it. What I want you to look at is this is actually the defenseman. So this D1 is doing an awesome job at pushing up the ice. We want to get up as fast as that as well. Even when we're not on the power play, at all times we want our defense to push up quick, because they can be an option in any rush, and they can be also an option if this puck does bounce loose. They're kind of like the closest person to it to keep it in, putting that pressure on the other team's defense. Right? The other key thing is this player here is actually the F2, so she's watching where the puck's going and paying attention to see if this player loses the puck. So if this player who's coming up the wall, this F1, she loses the puck, this F2 is always there to pounce and support. This defenseman here is actually going off for a line change. So this defenseman's actually skating off the ice, and you'll see how that is a big impact as the play goes on. So keep playing here. Corner. The F1 actually loses it in this situation, if you notice this. And if you notice, there's 2 white jerseys in there. They're very aggressive, this team, on the penalty kill, Boston. So the F2 needs to pay attention and be right in there right away. So you can notice this F2 is coming up. The F1 does a great job because she knows that they're going to set up an overload and they're all going to be on this side of the ice. She knows that there's usually a forward on the wall here. If there isn't a forward in this situation, the D's there as the pass. So her stick is ready, her eyes, she's probably communicating to this F1 saying, here, 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 or saying her name, making sure that she's aware that there's someone there for support. Puck comes back up the wall. So I'll pause here. This is actually a really smart thing this defenseman does. So when she gets the puck on the wall there, see how low she is? She's not quite in the house yet. And she actually doesn't have a ton of traffic in front of this goalie, right? So if you notice the 2 red jerseys, there's 2 other players that are changing. No one's in front of the goalie right here. So what she does is, instead of just shooting a weak shot on net or a shot that has no screen or traffic, she takes her time. And she tries to get into the house at first to see if the other team will give her that house. So I'll keep playing that here. Watch. So she goes in. She notices she's not going to get access to the house. This defense is really crowded in this corner. So what she does is she finds the open space. She's got all this additional room up here, right? So we talked a little bit about walking the line, D. Just getting to that open space. So she takes her time. She takes the open space. She tings it back up, and she uses her D partner as an option. So now her D partner's out. And as soon as this puck comes across, I want you to pay attention to 2 players. So now, we talked about that F3 going to the net, making sure that they're creating chaos. We also have our F2 here. So our F3 in front of the net. Our F2 was in the corner. She's going to bounce out and try to be an option for that pass. And then we have our third forward coming in late. So she's going to come in and drive the net as well. Awesome. So if you notice that defenseman, she again doesn't see a great lane to shoot. So she passes it over for the one-timer. And the other key thing about this whole situation, if you notice, look how low these defense are. So the Boston team is all crowded up in the house. They're protecting the house. So the D realize that, recognize that, and they move right in. So they're not at the blue line. They're in deep just to get a better shot and a better chance to put the puck in the net. And then once that shot goes to the net, I love this, they all crash. Notice all 4 white players are really, really down low, right? So this is really important because our team, the red team here in this situation, again, as soon as that shot goes to the net, they all drive to that net for that rebound. All 3 forwards, F1, F2, F3, are all in front looking, searching for pucks. If they get that puck, they want to try to take their time and make a good play or a smart shot. The other thing that I noticed too in this is the defense don't have to be so high up, right? The defense could technically be creeping down low because a lot of times what happens is the puck will just bounce out this way and those D need to be there to kind of jam it in. All right, so we'll keep playing this. Watch here. When that puck is up top, look where that F3 is in front of the net. The forward in front of the net is screening that goalie. So their skates, the heel of their skates are always trying to get to that blue paint. And that defenseman, usually in this situation, might be behind them. They're trying to box that player out and push them out of there, right? And this defenseman, if you notice, when that puck goes across, she has her eyes up, she's looking at the net, and she's taking what's given to her. So in this instance, she sees that there's a player there blocking the lane. So instead of just shooting the puck at the net right here, she goes across to this player. Puck across, and right at this point again, if you notice, this player's got their stick down. They're ready for a pass. You got, I think it's MPP in front of the net here. She's going in, and we're making the goalie slide across, which is a really hard save to do. Shot goes, and then everyone attacks the net. So again, everyone's kind of driving the net, searching for pucks. What I love about this too is these defense are not really doing a great job at boxing out, right? They should be playing body here. They should be tying up sticks. These players in front can't get loose pucks if they don't have a stick or their body's not in a good lane. So because of that, the red team here, the Victoire, are really pressuring, getting shots, creating that havoc. If we keep rolling here, puck comes in. And then finally, if you get the puck anywhere in front of the net, you don't have to rush, right? So if you notice in this video, you don't have to rush. Once you get the puck, take your time, make a good shot, face the net, either get it up over the goalie, try to go bar down in this situation, try to flick it over her, but really take your time. So it's always fast to the puck, as hard as I can. I get to that loose puck, and then I take some time, and I make a good play, and I put the puck in the back of the net.